Ireland is like the libretto of an opera set to music, for most of her famous landmarks have been revealed to the outside world through the medium of song. In fact, it has been estimated that no less than 5,000 songs owe their origin to this Isle of Melody, one of the most popular of which was inspired by the beautiful lake of Killarney.
By Killarney's lakes and hills, Emerald Isle and winding bays, mountain paths and woodland hills, memory ever fondly stays. Angels fold their wings and rest in that Eden of the West. Beauty's home Killarney, ever fair Killarney.
At Blarney Castle, we are reminded that legend and myth, in addition to music, have also contributed to the story of Ireland. For here is to be found the famous Blarney Stone itself. Throughout the English-speaking world, one who expresses himself with a flourish of words to convey a thought that might have been abbreviated into plainer language is accused of having performed a certain stunt at Blarney Castle. This dangerous practice was prohibited many years ago, so that now the visitor is obliged to kiss the stone from a safer position on the inner side of the wall. Aside from their proverbial eloquence, the Irish have added many words to the English language. At Galway, for example, there is an old castle wall which commemorates a tragic event. It is recorded here that a former mayor named Lynch hanged his own son, who was proven guilty of murder, and as a result of Mayor Lynch's unrelenting justice, the word lynch received its gruesome derivation. The peat industry, which thrives principally in the rural districts of Ireland, is one of unusual interest. Incidentally, what is known to us as peat is referred to in Ireland as turf. This turf acts as a good substitute for coal and wood, for Ireland has no coal mines and very little woodland. Chiefly because of this, the poorer classes who cannot afford to buy imported coal are obliged to use turf for their fuel. This turf, when properly dried and burned, gives off an intense heat and very little smoke. Tons of it are carted in from the bogs and shipped to various little ports along the sea coast of Ireland. After removing an upper layer of sod, the turf is dug with an oddly shaped implement called a shame. Scientists claim that this turf accumulates on the surface of the earth at the rate of 1 foot per 1,000 years. Turf to the depth of 12 feet has been found in Ireland. It is about 90% water and requires several weeks' exposure in the wind and sun before it is completely dry. It is then gathered in by men, women, and children. It has been estimated that there are over 2 million acres of turf land in Ireland. As usual, this poor woman inquired about a certain relative in America. It seems that there is hardly a person in all of Ireland who hasn't a relative in America. And this is reasonable enough when we realize that since 1848, as a result of migration, Ireland's population has dwindled from over 8 million to approximately 4 million people. Fortunately, however, the Irish fuel problem is now being benefited by the River Shannon, which has been harnessed at Limerick to provide electric light and heat for most of Ireland. A tremendous project undertaken at a cost of over $35 million. A grand tribute to the courage and foresight of the Irish Free State. To the outside world, however, the River Shannon suggests but one thought.
Where the dear old Shannon's flowing, where the three-leaf shamrock grows, where my heart is I am going, to my little Irish rose. And the moment that I meet her, with a hug and kiss I'll greet her, for there's not a calling sweeter where the River Shannon flows.
And here is Mother Ireland herself, all of them mothers of Irishmen who have sought their fortunes in the far corners of the earth. There is a certain sentiment in the Irish people that is characteristically their own, and the visitor who learns to understand and appreciate this will be more apt to enjoy his visit. Sure, and there's truth in the saying that the Irish people, like the Irish weather, laugh easy and cry easy. The picturesque little seaport town of Youghal, on the southern coast of Ireland, owes its distinction to the fact that the inimitable Sir Walter Raleigh, favorite of Queen Elizabeth, once presided over it as mayor. Among the many new foodstuffs which Sir Walter brought from America and introduced for the first time in Ireland, if not in all of Europe, were cherries, potatoes, and tobacco. The house in which he lived is still standing, in a wonderful state of preservation. The story is told that when Sir Walter sat under a yew tree in this yard and calmly smoked the first pipe of tobacco ever seen in Ireland, his servant, thinking that he was on fire, threw a bucket of water over him. Another story is told that when it came time to cook the first potatoes which Sir Walter had planted in a little garden adjoining this house, his servant cooked and served the stalks, not knowing that the edible part of a potato grows underground. If Sir Walter Raleigh did nothing else for Ireland, he did a great service when he introduced the potato, for it is now Ireland's staff of life. Perhaps the most picturesque setting on the southern coast of Ireland is to be seen at the Claddagh village, near Galway. For centuries, the residents of this village, known as Claddagh folk, have lived unto themselves, and their exclusiveness has been entirely of their own choosing. Until recently, they elected their own mayor, and even today they have their own code of morals, which includes rather severe religious standards. They speak Gaelic more fluently than they do English, and they might just as well refrain from trying to speak English, for it is almost impossible to understand them when they do. There are about 500 of the Claddagh folk, and fishing is their chief industry. Their children marry into Claddagh families exclusively, and maintain many of the quaint customs of their forefathers. Although Ireland, since 1848, has lost over half its population through migration, in the whole history of this village, there is no record of a Claddagh resident leaving Ireland. But now our journey is coming to an end. Our farewell tribute to Ireland is best expressed in song, for that is the true heritage of the Melody Isle.
Sure, I love the dear silver that shines in your hair, and the brow that's all furrowed and wrinkled with care. I kiss the dear finger so tile one for me,